Hello everyone, good afternoon and welcome to today's webinar. Today we're going to be looking at the stock take feature within your Sage 50 account software. Just before we begin though, we're just going to do some very quick housekeeping. So first of all, if you are new to these webinars and you haven't joined us before, you will notice that you've been placed on mute. Now that is automatic and that's just so that you can't speak to the team, just because we have a few of you on today and that can cause a bit of chaos. So you will be placed on mute, but if you do have any questions throughout today's session, you're more than welcome to submit them and you can use the questions panel to do so. So the icon that you need to use for asking your questions is the one that looks like a speech bubble with a question mark in the middle there, and that will open up the question panel for you to send your questions across to the team. We've got both Abby and Michael joining us today. So if you do have any questions, please don't feel you've got to wait till the end of the session. They're here throughout for any questions you may have. In addition, there is a handout for today's session. So if you do want to take a copy of that, the icon looks like a document with a folded corner. Get my words back to front there. And you can download the handout for today as well. Now, just before we begin, I'm just going to go through the contents and then we will do a very quick poll. So we're just going to go through, first of all, why would you want to do a stock take? And then I'm going to show you some of the reports available in the software to help you with a stock take. And then we're just going to talk about adjustments in and out. So I can see a few of you were on yesterday's session, which is great. So we'll be recapping on that because that's the transaction that's going to be posted. And then we'll go through the two options for a stock take. So we have the option for a manual stock take or importing a stock take. And then we'll finish off with any final questions that you may have. Okay, so I do have a quick poll, and again, if you were here yesterday, it's the same question. We're just trying to work out how many of you joining today's session actually already use the products and services module. Are you joining because you want to get more out of the module, or have you never used it before and you're trying to look at your options there? So I've just popped that poll up there. You should be able to see that in a moment or two. And if you could pop your votes in, it just gives us a little bit of insight. Okay, so they're starting to come through there. That's great. And I do like to try and wait till about 70% of you voted. It just gives us a really good picture of the general attendance today. Okay, there we are. We've exceeded 80, so that's great. I'm just going to close that down, but don't worry if you didn't get to pop your answer in. Don't worry, there's no problem at all. It's just a little bit of insight for us. I will share though, so it was a very close call. It was 43% of you are using products and services and 57% of you aren't currently using it. Okay, so I'm just going to hide that there. Okay, so first of all, just a little bit of theory first of all of why you would do a stock take. And this is generally quite a standard practice across businesses that have stock, and it's basically to check that you do actually have the amount of stock that you think you do, and also to check the condition of the stock, particularly if you have items that are maybe perishable. As a result of the stock take, so if you've gone through and you've counted all of your stock, it may be that you need to make adjustments to your account software. And that might be because you've had your figures wrong, or it might be that items have gone missing, or items may have got out of date or are no longer sellable. So you may need to adjust levels in the software to reflect what is really in stock in your warehouse or in your location. So the stock take feature is an optional feature when it comes to Sage. It's not something you have to do before a year end. It's something that is optional, but certainly if you are doing something like a year end, it is a good idea to keep a good stock of what you've got before you do things like a year end, because you will need to run things like product valuation reports to ensure that your figures are correct. And as I mentioned, there's two ways to do a stock take. We can do a manual stock take through the products and services window, or if you've got that information held elsewhere, you might be using a different piece of software, then it is also possible to import a stock take as well. Okay, so the first thing we're going to look at then is I'm just going to show you some of the reports that come with the software first. Now, these reports here are designed to help you take the stock take. So it might be that you've got all of your products held in your account software, and it would be easier if you could print a list off and give someone the document for filling out, or you might want to export it to Excel. It might be easier for someone to fill out if it's in an Excel format. So the software does have some options that will help you with that. So to do this, I'm just going to go into a demo. Now, I do have two companies today to demo two different steps, so bear with me as I try and find the right company there. And as always, we picked the wrong one. There we go. So we just need to be in the product demo one. Okay, so here we are in product demo, and in the products and services module, that's where I am at the moment. What we're just going to do here is show you some of the reports. So it's up here in the top right corner. If your screen is bunched together, it's a little bit smaller than mine. This might be grouped together with things like labels as well. But we've got the option for reports. I'm just going to open this up. And within reports, you can see at the bottom, we do actually have a whole stock take section. So if I click into here, we've got 4 different reports that might help you. Now, as I mentioned earlier, we do have a stock take import report. So this will help you with doing a stock take because this will give you it in a format that can be exported to Excel, completed in Excel, and then is easy to import back into your software. So I'm just going to generate this one so you can see what this looks like. I'm just going to do it across all of my products. And as you can see there, I've generated it just onto a normal document at the moment. What I can do is I can actually export this to Excel. Just going to save that there. And it's just opening it in another window. Just so you can see what this looks like. And it looks a little bit like this. So it's got the stock code, the date, and this column here, despite it not having the header, is the actual figure, which you could amend once you've done the stock take. So that's the stock take import report from within the stock take reports window. Just going to say no to that. Now, these other ones aren't necessarily designed to go into Excel. These are ones that you would print off and perhaps give to your staff so that they can fill this in as they're going around the warehouse or wherever you're holding your stock. So we've got different ones, grouping them together by different categories. So one is by location. So if you use the location feature, you can use that one. Stock category, which is obviously an option within the product and services module. So it might be if you've categorized your transactions, you might want to go through category by category and also by product code. I'm just going to hover over those so you can see a little bit what they look like. So you can see there, it's got the stock code, it's got the category, it's got the quantity in stock, and then you've also got the option to see the actual quantity. Very similar. And then I'm actually going to run this one so you can see this one. But if you do want to have a look at these reports, you're more than welcome to jump into your own data or your demo data and run these reports. So I'm just going to run this last one just so you can see a little bit better than what I was showing on the screen there. So this is just the stock take by stock code. So you don't need to be using categories or locations for this one. And here it's got all of my stock records. It's got the category, the unit of sale and location if I was using those fields, which you can see I'm not. And here it's telling me what is in stock in the system at the moment. So to try and make it nice and easy today, I've just put 10 into each item. But what I could do is if I was going around the warehouse is I could start to jot down what the actual physical quantity in stock actually is in these boxes here. Then I could hand it back to whoever's using the software for them to complete a manual stock take, which I'll show you just now. So that was the report that will help you with the actual physical stock take element of it. Okay, so we're back into our products and services module, and I'm going to show you now how to do an actual stock take within your Sage 50 account software. So again, as I mentioned earlier, I have tried to keep it nice and easy with everything having 10 items in stock here. Okay, now I can go different ways around this. I could highlight a record and go to stock take, and it will pull through the stock take window with what I've got highlighted, or I can just clear and then go into stock take and start by entering the items I want. Now I am going to actually perform a stock take across all of my items here. And then I can go stock take, and as you can see, it's brought through all my stock, but I am getting a warning. Okay, so the warning I'm getting is non-stock or service items are not available for stock take and have been excluded. So what you may notice, I'm going to come out of this window just to demonstrate this, is I do have an item that had 0 in stock. And that's because if you can see them highlighted there, they are in fact a service item. So when I go into the record, service item, and that means it's not a physical stock item, it's a record that I've created for a service. So it might be something like labor or hours. So obviously we can't do a stock take because we can't tell it how many hours are left. So that's why it's been excluded from that stock take feature. So I'm just going to clear that again and just go back to stock take. In fact, I'm going to swap and then stock take. There we go. And here what it's done is it's got all of my product records that I can do the stock take for. It's got an actual column, the cost price, how many's in stock, and the adjustment there. So I can change some of these fields. So things like the product, the date, the reference, and the actual can be amended in here, but there are some that are read only. So things like the in stock and the adjustment can't be amended. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to just change some of these here. So I've gone through my stock take and I have actually found that there are some differences here. So there's actually more in stock of this one here than I thought. This one was fine, but say for example, product 3, we actually lost some due to some of them spoiling. Might be a food item or something like that. I'm also just going to pop another couple in here just to really sort of emphasize that things can change. So what you can see there is my end product is saying I need an adjustment of 1. My product 3 and 4 are saying that I need an adjustment of -5 and -3. And then we've got product 1 is going to do an adjustment of 2. So it's recognised that my actual stock is different to what I've got in Sage, and it's going to post an adjustment for me. Now, just very briefly, before I come and actually post this, I just want to go back to the slides for 1 second to highlight the transactions that are going to be posted. So if you joined our session yesterday, we were talking about some of the different transactions. The most simplest form of a transaction is an adjustment in or an adjustment out. So as a result of the stock take that I'm about to do, it is going to post either an adjustment in if I've got more in stock than I initially thought, or an adjustment out if I've got less in stock or some of the goods are in fact damaged. So they're very simple transactions, and when we look on the activity for those records, what we'll see is an AI or an AO transaction. So let's pop back to the demo, and you can see there our adjustments. So if we think about the end product that we've got there, the very top one, the original in stock was 10, but we've realized we've got 11. So what I'm expecting to see on this one is an adjustment in. For those two here, products 3 and 4, we've actually got less in stock. So on these ones, what we're going to expect to see on their records is an adjustment out. Now, just before I do go any further and post this, I do just want to point out that at the top, we do have the option to import. So I'm going to go into import in just a moment, but the import can be found in 2 locations, one of which is within this window. And we also have the option to memorize and recall. So if we know that we're going to do a stock take on a regular basis for a certain number of products, we might want to memorize this. And that will mean we can save this for future stock takes if we want to do. So I'm just going to call this ABC. And it just means I can recall that next time. And I'll show you that in just a moment there, how we can recall a previous stock take. But first, I'm going to show you how to post this one. So I click on post, and I don't know if you've noticed, but in the background there has been some movement to these numbers here, but we'll delve into that a little bit more in just a moment. But I just want to show you that very quickly while we're still in the window, the option to recall allows me to recall what I'd saved last time there. And I could go back and amend figures from here. So it's still readable and it's still right over as well. So I'm going to close, I'm not going to post that one. I just wanted to show you that feature there. Okay, so let's have a look at the results of that stock take then. So I'm just going to clear the highlighting here for us. So we know that the end product, we said initially had 10 in stock, but we actually realized we found an extra one. So if I go into the record, we can see already the quantity in stock has increased. But if I just go into the record and pop into activity, this is where we're looking. You can see there that I've got an adjustment in for one item on the 18th. What you can also see is that the reference has come through with the reference that we popped into the stock take. So it's clear that we did that as part of that stock take. If we look at records 3 and 4, again, on these ones, we had less in stock than we initially thought, and that was possibly due to spoiling or the damaged goods. And on here, we've got an adjustment out on there. So it's actually quite a simple process. You actually just tell the software how many you've actually got. The program works out the adjustment that it needs to do for you, and at the click of a button, it posts the relevant transaction to make sure that your final value is then correct. So that is your manual stock take process. Very simple, and just in one window you can do that all. However, we can make it easier for you if you've got that information held elsewhere in Excel, or if you want to hold it in Excel, then you can do so and do an import. So what I'm going to do next then is just pop back to the slides for one moment, just to go through the theory on this one for you. So yes, your stock take figures can be imported, and there is an import template available. Now this is in your handout, so if you do want to find the import template to have a look, it's normally in Help and About and in the program directory. So I've left the directory on the handout for you, and I'm just going to show you how to find it in a moment as well. So let's go back into my other company. So I've set one up specifically for imports. So we're back to square one. We've got 10 in stock for everything, trying to keep things as simple as possible for this demonstration today for you. So first of all, I'm going to show you that import template. So I'm just going to go into Help, into About, and into the program directory. So if we click on this link here, now it has just opened mine on the other window because it does like to test me. And within this window that it opens, we're looking for import templates. So if we go into here, now if you're interested in importing, then these import templates show you exactly what you can import. So it's always handy to know where they are in case you've got information that you do need to transfer in. So things like audit trails, you can do customer records, supplier records, etc. But for today, we're going to be looking at stock take. Now, be careful because we also have stock transactions. It is the stock take one that we need for this one. And I'm just going to double click that open, and that should open that for me. Just a second. Yep, there we go. It's just done it on the other window there. The good news about a stock take import is there's not an awful lot of information required. It's very straightforward, very simple. So we've only got 4 columns that can be imported, and 3 of them, the ones in blue, are the ones that are required. Okay, so those are the ones we absolutely need to import. And when we hover over the blue one of each column, you can see there it tells you what the format should be. So it's telling me here it must be 30 characters, but also that product record must also already be entered into Sage. So we can't do a stock take on an item that hasn't yet been created within Sage. And then the actual figure. So this is the actual figure you have in stock, okay? And it will again just do that adjustment for you. Now, true Blue Peter style, I have actually created one of these earlier. So you can see here, I've popped in my items there. So I'm just doing the stock take across 5 records, not all of them. And I've got my actual figures in there. So we've got 11, 10, 7, 9, and 10. So we should be able to trace those afterwards to see what's happened as a result of those. Okay, so I'm just going to close out of this here now and go back into my products and services. So again, just to highlight, there are 2 ways in which you can import. You can do it through stock take and import, or you can do it through file and then import. And when we go into this one, you'll see there's the option for stock take there. Now, in the interest of trying to do this all in one window, I'm going to do the first one in products and services. Both achieve the same thing. It's just a different route to the same steps. Now, just before I do import this, if you do have a different document, you haven't used our template like this one here, don't worry. As long as you can tell our software which field to look for the stock code, which field has got your data and which field's got your actual, it doesn't matter. So it could be a really big spreadsheet that you've got from somewhere else. As long as you can tell the software where to pick that information up from, it will work for you. Okay, so what I do need to do, and this is a really top tip, if you're going to do a file import, do not try the import while the file you're importing from is still open, because it will throw up errors. So I'm just going to close my file down. And that's regardless of what you're importing. It's a huge call generator, and I've done it a million times myself, so it's very easy to do as well. So we're just going to go into stock take, and I'm going to go into import, and you'll see, if you're familiar with importing, this is very similar to what the normal file import looks like. Before the file import, we do recommend you take a backup, because if there's anything that goes wrong with this import, the best way to undo it is to just restore your backup there. Now, the file that you import from can be saved as a CSV or as an Excel document. And all I'm going to do here is browse to my file. And as you can see there, I've browsed it in, and I just need to remember, did my original file have headings in? So did I have a first line that had the headers in? If I do, then I need to tick this box so it doesn't import that information or attempt to. Now mine did, mine had the header for date, stock reference and the amount. Just going to click next. And this is where, if you were using a slightly different format Excel document, you could tell Sage to pick it up from a different field. Now, because I'm using the import template, it's matched them already for me, so that's great. So it knows that the stock code field that I'm importing will be imported into the stock code field within Sage. So if you do have a different document, this is where you can tell it to look elsewhere for the information. So I'm not going to change anything here. I'm very happy with what it has there. And then I'm going to try next. Just a quick confirmation of everything that we're trying to do here, the data type, and I'm going to click on import. Now, unless anything's drastically changed on that since this morning when I tested it, this should in fact import for me, but that's just running through the checks now. And as you can see, I have had a successful import. So records imported, all 5 of them have come through, and we don't have anything down here. If we did have anything down here, it just means that there has been a failure with the import, and it will normally give us information as to why. Now, some of those codes can be a little bit, should I say, confusing. So we get lots of things like a legal tax code or a legal code, but there is a whole heap of information on our help center around those errors that you might get. Now, quick question there, why can't I import whenever users are logged on? So we do have items or areas of the software there that are called exclusive access areas. So unfortunately, import at the moment is one of those areas where you do need to have everyone else logged out in order to do an import. All I would say is if it does impact you, please do pop a request on Sage City. Sage City is where we do get our requests submitted, and we can see the impact on our customers. But unfortunately, at the moment, it is, like I say, an exclusive access request in the software. Okay, so my import looks as though it's been successful there. So I'm going to close out of this window here. And sorry, just cancel that one. So it's imported it here. So it's imported all the figures that I've just tried to import. It's telling me what it needs to do as an adjustment. And I just then need to finish off by pressing the post stock take button here. So it's almost like a pre-step to the traditional stock take, but it's much easier if you've got that information, say for example, exported from a different software that you use for monitoring your stock. So again, just to reiterate what that looks like on the records. So if we pop back into this one here, go into product 3, into alerts or activity, you can see here again, now this is a different data set to the one I showed you before. We've got an adjustment out on there. Same with 5, so this time we did number 5. In fact, we didn't have a change on item 5, it was product 4. We're going to the activity. You can see there's an adjustment out there for 1. Now, if there wasn't a change in the number in stock, so for example, product 5, there won't be any activity. Okay, so this was me originally bringing the items in stock, but there won't be any activity posted if there's no change to the numbers there. So that is how to import the stock take. Okay, so we're going to pop onto a summary. So slightly smaller session than yesterday because it's, like I said, it's quite simple once you know how. It's just sometimes having the confidence to go and give that a go. Just going to check on my screen because I think my screen might have paused itself there. Just want to make sure that's showing. So I'm just going to go on to the summary there. So the stock take is optional from our point of view, but it is something that your accountant may want you to do to ensure that the stock levels are accurately reflected in your account software. When you do a stock take, when there is a difference between the figure that you've actually physically got in stock and what you've got recorded in Sage, it will post an adjustment for you, and the transactions it will post are either an adjustment in or an adjustment out. And a manual stock take can be carried out at any time. Okay, so you don't need to wait till year end, but you normally would try and tie this in with things like your period end routines, but they can be carried out at any time. You won't be prevented from doing it mid-year in your software. And remember, the stock take can be imported as well. So if you are using an additional piece of stock management software and you want to record that in your accounts, it might be easier for you to import that information across. Okay, so time for any questions. Get your questions across to us. In the meantime, I'm just going to talk to you about upcoming webinars and also being a Sage member. So if you do have any questions, now's the perfect time to get them across. But we are doing a series on stock. So if you're joining us today, it may be that the next week's topics are also going to apply to you as well. So tomorrow at 11, Michael will be talking about stock valuation reports. Now, this is something that can be a little bit niche, but if you want to know a little bit around those stock valuation reports and how those figures calculate, then join Michael tomorrow at 11 o'clock, and he will take you through that. Then again, we've got bill of materials. Okay, bill of materials is where you can demonstrate items being constructed. So you can show the transfer of items from subcomponents up to their main components. And that will be covered on Wednesday next week at 2 p.m. So if bill of materials is something you're interested in as well, please do join us for that. We also have sessions next week on batch supplier payments. So if you've ever wanted to speed up your supplier payments, on Tuesday at 2 o'clock, we're looking at batch supplier payments. And we also have a session on what's new in version 29 as well. So we've got lots and lots of topics available for you over the next few weeks. Okay, so talking about being a Sage member, this is all about giving you more than just great software, giving you a little bit more additional support in these tricky times. So if you're a member of our Sage community, you have access to our member masterclasses, Sage Learning on our Sage University platform, which is free of charge, and also access to our community forums as well. So just a bit more on the member masterclasses. These are videos and blogs that have been brought together by experts within the industries, and we've gone through various series there. So we're currently on season 3, and it's all about building business resilience. But we've also done season 1 on finding and keeping great people, and season 2 on unlocking productivity. So if you are interested, there's access to them through the links on the handout today. Okay, so that brings us to past. Slightly shorter session, like I say, because we're very focused in on a very specific topic. We're going to hang on for a few minutes just in case there are any final questions, so please do get them across, and we'll pop on mute in the meantime. But if you are leaving us now, thank you very much for joining us, and we do hope to see you tomorrow morning. If not, then we do hope to see you on another session next week. So take care if you're leaving, and we'll be back in a few minutes to say goodbye after any questions are completed. Okay, so looks pretty quiet on the question front, so we're going to look to close the session there. Thank you again, everyone, for joining us, and like I say, hopefully we'll see you on one of our sessions in the next week or so there. Thank you very much, everyone. Take care and see you again all soon.